Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Meet the People. My name is David Feiner. I'm the Communication Technology Manager in the City of Pittsburgh's Department of Innovation and Performance. Today, we're going to do something a little different. Instead of interviewing city employees about technology, I thought I would branch out a little bit and talk to some people in the Pittsburgh area who are working in an industry that I grew up in. The very first time I walked into a public access TV station, I was 13 years old. My middle school had a studio in what was called the Little Theater, a little control room off to the side. And from that point forward, I fell in love with it. And I've been working in it for a pretty long time. And I believe, he'll probably tell me I'm wrong, but I believe my guest today has been working in public access television almost or longer than I have. Dave Cable, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, David Feiner, for having me. I started as a volunteer in 1998. So I don't know what year you started.
So I've been doing this. It's a long time ago. Wow. Did you start volunteering at Bethel Park?
Yes, I did. I was looking for something to do outside of, I just had finished up college. I had a film degree from the University of Pittsburgh, and I was looking for something to do. And a friend of mine who owned a little video store was like, hey, I make this crazy TV show called Incredibly Strange Video, or no, the show's called The Schlock Shop. And the store's Incredibly Strange Video. And he's like, this place, there's a nice guy out there, Kevin, who runs it. They always need help. Why don't you go out there and see what you can do to get a little more extra experience? It sounded like a great idea. Little did I know I would be here 23 years later, still doing public access television.
But it's not like you're still volunteering on that one show.
No, I volunteered for a year. The director, previous director, he had gotten into USC grad school for film, and he recommended me for take over when he left a year later. So January 10th, thereabouts, 1999, I took over as the director.
How long had BPTV been on the air at that point?
On the air, I'm not sure. It was established in 1987, and I think it was probably 88 or 89 by the time they were getting things on the air.
So you've been there more than 2/3 of the channel's history?
Yes, there were 3 previous directors, and I don't think any of them lasted more than about 5 years.
So what you're saying is you love the job so much that you never want to leave?
That is absolutely correct. It really has become, it's such a fantastic fit. I mean, I love production. I love being independent about it. I like doing it on a small budget level, so you're not running around like answering to a bunch of people about money. And I like having it as a pretty fixed hours. I mean, we do have off hours, but my office hours are 8 to 4:30. I have to live in Bethel Park to work for Bethel Park because it's a municipal job. So I work 8 to 4:30. 4:31, I'm 5 minutes from home. It's fantastic to have no commute. I mean, really, the second I'm done working, my time is my own. And if anything needs done back at work, it's a couple minutes to come back to work. It's not an issue. It's great to have that work-life balance, like to that degree. That's
great. It's always nice to talk to people who are really passionate not only about their work but like their job.
I love it.
I can remember for years, decades really, listening to both my parents going off to jobs they didn't like, and I was pretty adamant to myself that I was never going to do that. I feel the exact same way. How much did you know about the concept of public access television when you showed up at BPTV as a volunteer?
I had absolutely zero knowledge of how it really worked. Like I said, a friend of mine, he was just like, I may make this crazy little TV show. They always need help. They need volunteers. Why don't you go check it out? If you're looking for experience, I did. And yeah, the old director, he showed me the ropes. He's a mentor of mine. And I really learned a lot there. And then also I learned a ton once I became the director, because as a volunteer, I was doing the production work. I was helping out on camera. I was helping out editing stuff. I direct some things. But the nuts and bolts of operating a TV station, I knew nothing about. I had like I said, I had a film degree background, not a lot of guillotine splicing involved in making public access TV shows. So yeah, I was doing a lot of on-the-job learning the first couple years.
What was the technology like when you first started?
Oh, it was cumbersome. And in our station specifically, we had 1.5 operating cameras. We were using, yes, one of the chips was going bad, so everything had a green tint on the one camera. We were using 3/4 inch tape for all of our production, so that involved those arm packs that had the 20-minute tapes. That the whole thing was about 10 pounds just for the record deck, and that's remote taping. The cameras were big and bulky. I mean, everything was heavy. Nothing looked as nice as it does today. Everything was much harder than it is today. Tape to tape editing was a nightmare. Could give you horror stories of breaking control tracks and only learning about it 3/4 of the way through a program and being like, oh, I can't wait to re-edit this show. I just spent 2 hours editing. It's a lot nicer now.
What were you using for playback? How were you playing back shows on the channel?
When I first got here, it was VHS tape, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly.
Were you using Latronics or something like it?
We were using a Latronics Pro 16 event controller.
The first time I used the first time I used Latronics was a Pro 8, and there was no desktop computer program. I had to put everything in manually.
Oh, like a little keypad thing.
Yeah, it was the up and down arrows. That's all I could do and it had to be absolutely right or the channel would go blue. I believe when I got my first TV job, it was not in the town I grew up in, so I didn't have my mother calling me every 30 minutes, the channel's blue. When I got my first full-time TV job, that happened because she would watch the channel incessantly waiting for her child to show up. That was a lot of fun.
Well, that is nice. I actually had a resident who called himself Accuracy in the Media, and he would call me up if there's anything going wrong on the station, if there's anything spelled wrong on the bulletin board. So, I mean, at our level, it is nice to have someone watching your back like that a little bit because, I mean, there really isn't a whole lot of, checks and balances involved. So, yeah, I can say I liked having someone every once in a while come in and say, hey, fix that so you look more professional.
At what point in your tenure did you decide you need to change the technology, you need to upgrade the technology?
I've been doing that progressively throughout the time I've been here. I mean, from switching from analog to digital, I couldn't give you the exact year, Dave. It was a while ago, probably I want to say 12 years ago. Does that sound about right?
So you're no longer recording on videotape, you're doing everything digitally.
Right. But I mean, we went from like 3 different tape formats though, going from, VHS or SVHS tapes to DV tapes and then solid state recording.
Yep.
So it's been a long progression. I mean, that's one thing about this job is that there is a lot of continual on the job learning because you have to keep up with technology to keep your station running properly.
Right. When was the last time you did a major or any kind of major upgrade, and what was it?
It was earlier this year. I upgraded our broadcast system.
Okay. From what to what?
Oh, geez, I'm gonna have to look. It was Ultra Nexus.
Oh yeah.
And let me see what.
So did you just stay with Latronics and continue using?
I switched to Cablecast, and I'll tell you why.
You don't have to tell me why. I love Cablecast.
But for us, Latronics, they had switched their hardware. So basically, what we were able to do with one device, we had to buy 2 devices, and they didn't fluctuate in price any. So it was kind of a no-brainer to switch to Cablecast because we could keep at the price point we wanted to and still have the opportunity to run 2 stations off of one device.
Right. So funny story about Tightrope. I believe they're Minnesota, right? I think they're in Minnesota. When I was managing a station on Cape Cod, the eastern tip of Massachusetts, my station was the first of 3 stations to be a customer of theirs. And so we were a guinea pig, and we were making a lot of mistakes because we didn't know what we were doing. Anytime I called Minnesota, all I had to say is, "This is Dave from the Cape." And I would hear papers shuffling and tables turning over and people rushing to the to the telephone because they knew I had done something wrong and they wanted to figure out what I had done and how to fix it. They're a great company. I'm very excited. We're moving back. Well, we here at City Channel, we've never had them, but I am very excited to move back to them sometime in the future. I enjoy their product immensely.
Yeah, I agree. It's a much superior product to some of the other things I've looked at and experienced in the market.
So just like me, you're a municipal employee working. Is it a township, Bethel Park?
Municipality.
Municipality. Okay. So you're a municipal employee. What are some challenges you've faced over the years being in charge of the channel?
Well, I mean, like I said, upgrading technology and keeping up with that is probably the main continual challenge. I mean, other than that, we haven't really had a ton in terms of dealing with complaints about content or anything like that. I mean, as a public access station, that's not really something we want to get into anyway. We're a public access and government access station. We run both from the same office and location.
Okay. So is there ever a time you're doing a meeting down the hall and also a studio production in your facility?
We can't do them at the same time. We schedule around each other.
Okay.
We only do the municipal council meetings and the school board meetings. The municipal council meetings do happen in the same building. We are wired from our office, our studio, up into council chambers, but we also have our own studio. So we can't do something at the same time. They're both running into the same switcher. We have to schedule around for that. And the school board, that's over in the school district's building, and we just tape that and rebroadcast. So we don't do that one live.
You're probably paid for 40 hours a week. How many hours a week do you actually work?
Really depends. I mean, it's not much more than 40. I mean, to be honest, I mean, I'm fortunate that I have volunteer staff members that help me out. But I'm able to, like I said, my work-life balance is very balanced. I can't complain about anything like that in that regard. And like I said, if anything comes up or there's a taping, I can't get someone else to tape. It's not far from my house. I mean, the worst I get is that my wife's like, "You're working when you're not supposed to," and that's about it. I can't make any complaints on that end.
So let's talk for a couple of minutes about the Greater Pittsburgh Community Media Awards. How did you first find out about it, and what was the reason you decided to jump on board?
I believe John Patterson approached us all about it at first, and I just thought it was a great idea right from the get-go. So I was on board immediately. I didn't know what to really make out of it because the first year, I mean, I kind of showed up to the awards not knowing what to expect, other than the fact that we were going to recognize a couple of our volunteers. I had no idea what the experience would be like, like what the venue was or anything like that. So when I first showed up, I was really impressed with how everything was put together. And from then on, I've been all in.
I was excited the first year for the food. I thought that was a good part of it also.
See, I didn't even know there was going to be food there, Dave. So maybe that's why.
I was always taught a happy production staff is a fed production staff. So that was just a no-brainer for me once I saw the food. I guess that shows where our priorities lied at the same time.
I keep my volunteers hydrated. We have a little mini fridge that I keep full. So not as much food, although we do have a pizza sponsor for one Tuesday night live show that attracts the most volunteers. So we do keep them fed as well most of the time as well.
So as the award ceremony has evolved now in its 5th year, do you see this as something that is going to continue?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we're showing signs that we're going to expand it. So I'm excited to see how that shapes up going forward. But yeah, I mean, it's a great thing on our end. It's nice to have a way to recognize our producers in a competitive setting. Like, I mean, I have a awards banquet every year where we do it internally. We do have a little bit of that, but I mean, it's mostly me. I do have a few volunteers that help me pick between shows. We do a program of the month thing where we give out 12 awards at the end of the year, along with some other awards. But it's nice to have us compared against other content being made. 'Cause I mean, I think for the producer, it's nice to see that they are achieving at the level of production that they're doing, that people are recognizing it as quality production. I really like giving them something like that, like an awards ceremony type environment. I really love that about it. I think it's great for morale. I think it's good for the producers to see that they're doing quality work. I really like the format.
I think what's most interesting is I've been judging contests like this for decades, and the content from not just Bethel Park, but from Moon and from Pittsburgh is fantastic. There has every year I'm surprised. I don't know why, but I'm surprised every year by the technical aptitude, the editing, the actual content of the shows. I really enjoy the judging part of it because I love seeing what volunteer producers, because this is their hobby, and I like seeing year to year. You've had a couple of repeat winners over the last couple of years. So I like seeing how they have evolved their programming as well.
Oh yeah, it is neat to see. And it is neat to see what other people are doing too. I mean, it helps inform me in terms of like where we stand compared to our peers. I just like the whole collaborative aspect of it too. It's nice to have everyone in contact in the regional area. And this is a great event to connect everybody together.
Yeah, I agree. Dave, I'm going to ask you some completely random non-work questions. You ready?
All right.
You're originally from Pittsburgh, right?
Correct.
Okay. On your sandwiches, do you want fries or no fries?
No fries.
What?
But if I want fries, they're on the side. And no coleslaw, absolutely no coleslaw on my sandwiches.
Wow. And you're a Pittsburgher.
Yeah. I'm also half Slovak and I don't like halushki. So, anything that's like oniony or no sauerkraut. No.
What is the one hidden talent you have that you've never told anybody about?
I think most people are aware of my talents because, they're put out there. I like photography on top of video. So most of the stuff I do gets displayed in public.
Okay. What was your last binge watch?
I don't binge watch. Me and my wife, once we put the kids to bed every night, we spend about 9 to 11 every night watching something together. And I mean, we cycle through different content. We try to mix it up for ourselves so it's not repetitive every night. So I mean, right now we're watching Why the Last Man, Only Murders in the Building.
Mm-hmm.
There's two more, but I forget what they are. And we rewatch Game of Thrones once a year. We go through the whole series.
Okay. What's your favorite view of the city? Don't say West End Overlook.
Well, that's not fair. It is the best view of the city. I mean, there's a lot of nice places just walking around where it's scenic. So, I mean, to pretty much say anywhere where you can see downtown Pittsburgh is a nice view of it. So,
okay, that's fair. Dave Cable, thank you very much for joining us on Meet the People. Always enjoy talking to you. Always look forward to the award ceremony every year. Where is BPTV located? Just to give you a little plug in there.
All right. Well, we're located in Bethel Park's Municipal Building, which is 5100 West Library Avenue. Anybody familiar with the area will know it as the Library and Police Station. And we are in the bottom floor. There's an entrance on the front of the building, right next to the police entrance. So if you want to make a TV show, anyone's welcome to stop on by and give it a try.
Awesome. Dave Cable, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, David Feiner.
Welcome back to this edition of Meet the People. Again, my name is David Feiner. I'm the Communication Technology Manager in the City of Pittsburgh's Department of Innovation and Performance. I'm being joined now by a man who refused to hire me. His name is John Patterson. He's the Executive Director at Pittsburgh Community Television. John, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And by the way, that's an apocryphal story. I don't know that we might have to delve into that, but anyway, great to be
Okay.
here.
Well, before we get, because I absolutely want to get to that. So you've been working in public access television for quite some time. Can you give me a rundown of your career and where you've been and where you've come from and how you got to Pittsburgh?
Absolutely. Well, I actually began in high school when I was in my junior year. This was outside of Philadelphia. They put a public access station into a classroom at the corner of the building. And it was more like an educational access, I should say, but that's where I got really into it. It was one of those things that really changes your life, because I had been interested in filmmaking, and then I arrived the first day of school, 11th grade, and I found out they'd put a TV studio in there, and so I spent all my time in there. I did everything you could do. And that kind of led me to thinking, well, I could study this in college. And so I went to Northwestern University, got a degree in radio, TV, film. And then interestingly enough, then I didn't do anything in TV for, a number of years. I got interested in theater, and I managed the theater. By that time I was in California. And, but then, I was kind of done with the theater, and a job opened up at the local public access station in Santa Cruz, California, where I was living. And I thought, well, this is interesting. I have a background in that. I'm a little rusty. And so I got a job there as a director of operations. And then soon after that, the executive director left. And that was back, I started there in 2005. So that gives me, 16 years next month. And getting to Pittsburgh was sort of a gradual, well, not that gradual, actually. I had been at the station in Santa Cruz for 3 or 4 years, and I was looking to make a move out of the, ultra expensive, California. And I had been to Pittsburgh actually only once. It was in 1984. I rolled in on a Greyhound bus on my way to Chicago. I looked out the window and I said, oh, that's Pittsburgh. Interesting. I didn't get out, I didn't venture out. But when I was looking for places to move, I heard about how cool Pittsburgh was, and this job at PCTV opened up. And so in 2009, I applied for the job, came for the interview, and I guess to use a cliche, the rest is history. Now I've been here for 12 years and they can't get rid of me.
Even if we tried.
Even if you tried.
So talk about your early impressions and early days of working at PCTV. What was it like? What was it like as an organization? What kind of membership base did it have? And your first impressions of working there?
Well, my very first impression actually happened before I started working here. Was when I came for the interview, and they let me walk around, and I thought, this facility really needs some help, because it was not in great shape. It was sort of sagging ceilings, and really sort of funky. I mean, it was functional, but there were a lot of problems like HVAC, etc. I think it still had a pretty good user base. It's remained consistent throughout the years, but the equipment was not in great shape, and it was there were a lot of things that we just couldn't do because we didn't have the the equipment and the resources. And so over a period of years, the biggest thing that's changed is that we've focused on those things, improving the equipment, improving the facility. So we did a whole renovation in 2015 and completely renovated it. And we've got 2 TV studios now, a classroom, and edit lab. Whereas before, all those things were sort of rinky dink, shoved in a corner. You had no heating in the winter. You had to use space heaters. Now everything works, and we have spaces. We can have events here. We can have classes. We used to basically have to have our classes in somebody's office, or we'd have to move editing computers across the building into our conference room so people could be comfortable. But you need to have a good, environment, a good space. And I think that's probably been the biggest change. And then, what we're doing now is we're doubling down on media education. Things kind of fell off during the pandemic, but we've started classes up, and we're focusing on that, the desire to be a community media and education center.
Yeah.
So we think of ourselves as a community media center, and who knows, there may be a name change in our future. Not that we don't like television anymore. We love television, but we want to broaden it and offer a lot of different. To me, it's really about opportunity and going where the opportunities are.
Yeah.
To help the community and move things forward. Yeah.
So I'm guessing when you first got there, anywhere you could find a corner, you would hang a bed sheet, put 2 chairs down, a plant between them, and call it a set.
To a degree, I mean, we did have the main television studio. That was definitely our main asset, and it's actually the same large studio that we have now. So that was definitely definitely a plus. But we've moved things around. We've changed the entrance, and it was about the rest of the building. And as you know, I mean, what you need in a control room is quite different than what you used to need. And I would say our control rooms now are, like maybe a quarter of the size of what we had before. And it's, and surprisingly though, we still have some equipment that we had when I got here that is still useful. I mean, it's absolutely ancient, but it still works. And so we use it. It's not like, key equipment. I mean, we could probably get by without it, but, and I wanted actually to follow up because you talked, I don't know if you were talking about my impressions of Pittsburgh and how that's changed, but I had a positive impression from Pittsburgh, from the get-go. And so starting when, I came for the job interview, and the cab driver taking me from the airport was so friendly. And so, Pittsburgh's been a great place for me, and, it's a great city. So.
Just to piggyback off of that, my first visit to Pittsburgh was in 2007. I was visiting my then girlfriend, now wife's parents, and standing outside of Heinz Field, I had a Red Sox hat on, and a DPW truck drove by, and 2 guys leaned out the window and screamed, "Welcome to Pittsburgh." Now, where I'm from, they don't do that. They would have screamed something totally different. So I had the same first impression of this place, and I'm glad to have moved here. The part about, so the first time I came to PCTV was 2012. My wife and I were getting ready to move here. She was here for an interview, and I tagged along. And I had first heard of PCTV years before. I believe you hosted an Alliance for Community Media national conference, and I couldn't make it to that, and I was really upset because I wanted to come. So when I came later, I've worked in a lot of places in a lot of towns, and what I liked most is when I walked in, somebody was there and smiling. And it's the little things, really. And either you have told your staff this is the way it's going to be, or else, or they're just you're hiring great people for these positions. So how has the staff evolved over your 12 plus years there?
Yeah, we actually have a good base of staff. Gladys Jelks, who's our assistant director and programming director, she's actually worked in public access in Pittsburgh for 40 years.
Wow.
35 of those with PCTV. So she's sort of like the, sort of the bedrock, if you will. And then we've had a number of people, of course, people do leave over the course of many years. We have our administrative manager, Vitrina Venson. She was here when I got here, and she's been here for longer than I have, a little bit longer. And then the rest of the people are all new. I say new, meaning, they weren't here when I got here.
Mhm.
And I think that, to me, to work at PCTV, you have to have a lot of respect for people. You have to have sort of the idea that, we're here for the community. It's not about us. We're here to, facilitate the needs of the community. And usually when I, you do a job interview, that definitely comes up. And I mean, this is not like working at, we're not a network affiliate. We're not, Hulu or HBO. This is about not having an ego and, assisting the community on what they want to do and making people's lives better. So I always tell my staff, we need to roll out the red carpet for these people, because this is, they're why we're here. The community, the nonprofits that we serve, the things that we do for the city are, extremely important. And you really can't work here if you have an ego and think, wow, I'm in media and I'm, this hotshot, whatever. Yeah, you are a hotshot, but you're putting it in service of, helping the community and making people's lives better. So that's what really drives me. And I think I try to pass that on to my staff. I don't think I would be cut out for, HBO or, places like that. I mean, I have people that I went to college with, work for big entertainment, companies like that. And, it's just not where my head is at. I don't know if I'm too artsy fartsy for that or what, but but I'm good on the community level. So yeah.
So everything you've said so far is the reason you didn't hire me, because I'm all the things you're not looking for.
Well, I took one look at you and I thought, oh my
Right.
God, no. Well, the timing is everything, because as I recall it, when you came in, you were looking for a job. We were not like, we were getting close to hiring, but we hadn't done it. Now, I don't know. I mean, are you telling me you applied for a job here?
No. I
never saw an application.
No. So what happened was I came in, I just walked in. But like I said, my wife was here for her interview. No. Actually, yeah, she was here for her interview. So I tagged along and she told me to bring a suit and bring a resume and just walk in. And I did. And Carl is the one who answered the door. And I said, I'm moving to Pittsburgh very shortly. Here's my resume. I hope you would think of me if you have any jobs open. And Carl looked at my resume and said, is this for real? He gave me a tour. He walked me around. I was very impressed because I had never worked in a city before. I'd only ever worked in small towns. But things work out the way they did. Less than a year later, I was working for the city. I think that the two of us together have transformed the relationship. You and I have talked about this many times, and I know we already agree with this, so you can just nod your head. That we've transformed the relationship between the municipality and the nonprofit public access station. I much like you, mine was in middle school when they put a TV station in, and I've always had a passion for public access and it being the last bastion of free speech. And when I taught production classes, one of my favorite things is watching a student or a community member or a nonprofit person have that aha moment, like when it really clicked in that they got something. I still enjoy that. And so it was important to me to make sure that this relationship was one that has grown as it has. We're in this public education, government access television group, and whatever happened before us is nothing we can control. So let's control going forward. So anyway, now you can talk. What is So you said you did an upgrade, you did a redesign of the location, you built new office space, you built new studios, you built classrooms. From a technological standpoint, what is the main change from what you had before 2015 and what you have now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that, I'm trying to remember the timeline of things because, when I came here, we were still using tape. It was digital tape, but I think, moving to, non-tape based technology. Although I have to say, by 2015, we were already done with that. But I think that everything is so computer based now, as you know, and to me, that's the biggest difference. We've tried to make improvements, and we've taken little baby steps here and there, like, when we first started, recording file, to file, we would, carry hard drives around the building. Well, we don't have to do that anymore. We can send things right from our studio, to the desktop of the employee that's going to do the editing, and they can take care of it right there. I think, some of the other, things that we're wanting to get into, I think when you're a community television station, you sort of the bias, if you will, is, television and video and, focusing on that. And we've dabbled in things like podcasting, over the years. We've had a class here, a class there, but we're now making a major push into offering other things like that. And we actually have a podcast class starting soon. And so broadening beyond television, I think, is probably, where things are going. And then, continuing to improve the technology. I often, one of the difficult things about doing this kind of work is, because it is nonprofit and, but budgets can be limited, you're often faced with, at times it can be a little bit embarrassing. It's not right now, but when I got here, we had a lot of equipment that didn't work, and it was, yeah, we're going to upgrade that. I promise you, we're going to get rid of that, ancient, Mac, whatever, it looks like it was like a spaceship that landed on the desk, but we're not quite there yet. And over time we've been able to do that. So I hope that we can continue doing that, because it's really sort of, without those resources, you really can't we can't do this work that we do. You have to have, as you know, it's sometimes you have to make do with things that aren't the latest greatest, but
right,
things that aren't the latest greatest, so it's a constant battle. There's no end to it, because you think, oh, now we're set. Well, 2 years go by and you're not anymore.
Right. So it's interesting you say all that. Excuse me. It's interesting you say all that, because we here at the City Channel went through a massive technology upgrade around the same time. We had not done any updating whatsoever since 1982. And when I first got here, I was talking to one of my young coworkers and trying to explain Control Track to him. And he couldn't grasp it. He just couldn't, because he had when he was in college, the only thing he learned was a digital format, whether it was recording directly to the camera as a hard drive or having an external hard drive connected to the camera. He had never used videotape in any form. It's also interesting you say that, because the end part you were saying about how things change so rapidly. So we finished ours about 5 years ago, and I'm just now starting to think it really is time. I don't want to wait another 32 years before we do another technology upgrade. One of the things the pandemic has taught us is that our control room specifically, I didn't build it for expansion. I built it for that day. And so we have extension cords, we have cables, and everything is kind of a mess because we're having to include Zoom and everything. I think what's going to happen because of the pandemic is that people, would you agree with me when I say people are going to be a little more independent because they've had to be independent the last year and a half? Or are people coming back to the studio and wanting to use the physical space and the physical equipment?
Yeah, we've had a combination of different outcomes on that. People are definitely starting to come back, but we still have a number of people that are, some people are doing it at home on their own. Some people we've been able to, assist them. I'm sorry Gladys isn't on here today because she would be able to talk about she's doing a couple of shows. And I think the nice thing about doing those, it's not necessarily just Zoom, but we'll call them, shows that you do at home, you using your computer and a webcam, you're able to bring people in from other places. They don't necessarily have to be on the ground in Pittsburgh. And so that's, that's definitely a plus. But yeah, I think things have changed for good in a way. People did learn some of the technology. But I think that in a way that's good because it, we're all about empowering people. So if somebody people learn something that's going to help them communicate, more power to them. We'll take their programming and air it. But we're still, since we're still in the middle of the pandemic right now, there's still, we don't have quite as many people coming in, but it's starting to pick up. So yeah.
All right. So this is the part of the show, John, where I ask completely random questions that have nothing to do with your job. So I'm totally surprising you with this stuff. And I believe your life mantra is if you don't know the answer, you'll just make it up. So, yes. All right. So you and I are both not from Pittsburgh, but on your sandwiches, do you want fries or no fries?
No fries, because I'm a bit of a health.
Ouch. You are not making yourself popular amongst the people.
If I was, let's put it this way, if I was going to have fries, yeah, I'd have them on the sandwich, but I don't really eat French fries. So
again, John, you're not helping yourself here. The Mon incline or the Duquesne incline, which is your favorite incline?
It's a good one. Well, I'll go with the Duquesne because I believe it's steeper and I kind of like the thrill. Steeper.
Okay. I believe the Duquesne also has a parking lot, which helps immensely.
Yes.
Just like you, as the parent of a child, I know that's a big deal, not having to walk far to get to the incline. My son loves to ride that thing. What was your last binge watch?
Oh, I rewatched all of Gilmore Girls with my family. Okay. Yeah.
All right. My wife and I were watching the Goldbergs on ABC. We still haven't finished it, but we're close. And I'm not really a binge watcher. I don't like binge watching. People think I'm weird. What is the best COVID mask that you have either worn or seen?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, my masks are rather pedestrian. Here's my mask.
Here's mine.
I like the masks that are branded and that have some kind of a thing on it. I have to say I'm freaked out by the ones that show like a smiling face. That's just really disturbing to me. I'm kind of practical. I just want a good mask that's going to stay on my face and be tight. And so yeah, I know it's probably not the kind of probably like a boring answer, but
That's okay. My wife was horrified, and I do mean horrified, the day my Hannibal Lecter mask arrived. So it looks like the face covering he wore. Yeah, she doesn't like that. So I try not to wear it when she's around.
I guess if you can't have fun during a pandemic, when can you have fun?
Exactly. The other mask I like is the mask of a face, and then the mask on the mask underneath the chin. So people will say, "Sir, you need to put your mask on." My mask is on, but it looks like the mask is under the chin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, John, here's your chance. Give a plug for PCTV, where you're located, what's your phone number, what's your website, how can people get a hold of you if they are interested in not only learning the concepts of public access television, but podcasting, uploading to YouTube, and all the other classes that you have.
Sure. So PCTV is a community media and education center. We're located on the north side at Western Avenue, 1300 Western Avenue. Our mission is to empower, educate, and enhance the community through media. And you can do a lot of things here. You can make a TV show, you can make a podcast, you can make a movie if you want. One of the only stipulations is that we get to air whatever you produce. So that's an important consideration. And we are non-commercial media, so you're not going to hawk products on PCTV. It's all non-commercial, community oriented, and you can take classes here. We'll teach you how to podcast. We'll teach you how to use the field cameras, editing. You want to learn things like 360-degree video. We're going to be offering that as well, and
nice.
It's probably the best and easiest way to get your message out. Not just on cable TV, but we're also on Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, and hot off the presses, we have an iPhone app. So you can, you didn't know that, I can tell. And we got it for free too, which is even better. And then of course, whatever you produce at PCTV, you can, once it's aired on PCTV, you own the content, you can take it out, you can put it on YouTube, you can splash it out there, send it around the world so people know what's going on in Pittsburgh.
John, I have to say, 2009 would be really unhappy with all these changes you're making. An app? I absolutely did not know you have an app. That is amazing.
We just had a couple of months ago. So yeah, if you go to the App Store, if you have an iPhone, we're going to be getting an Android app. One person.
It's right there. That's amazing.
Watch PCTV right now.
I am installing the app as I sit here. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
That's fantastic. That's great. All right, John, I really want to thank you for taking the time to do this. I really appreciated working with you over the years, even though I didn't get to work with you. And that is the joke. I will beat that joke like a dead horse, just as long as we know each other.
Just put it in plain terms. I think you would have been a great addition to PCTV.
Yeah.
And
hindsight's 2020 too.
Hindsight's 2020, and I know that I would have enjoyed working with you, and but it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, sure.
But I feel the same way, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right, John. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be right back on Meet the People. Welcome back to this edition of Meet the People. My name is David Feiner. I am the Communication Technology Manager in the City of Pittsburgh's Department of Innovation and Performance. Right now we're joined by Allison Ford. She is the Director of Programming in Moon Township. Allison, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me today.
Is that the correct title? You're the Director of Programming there?
Yeah, so I'm the director of our communications for the township and then of our television stations, MCA-TV and MAG-TV.
Before we get into your job and what you do, tell us where you're from and how you got to the point where you're at now.
Okay, I'm from Wintersville, Ohio, so not far from outside of Pittsburgh. I actually grew up an avid Pirates fan, and so in college I played softball. I knew I wanted to work in baseball at the time. Well, I thought I did. So I did an internship with the Pirates in their media relations department. I loved it. I was fortunate enough they asked me to come back for the next 3 years. I was fortunate enough it was when we were making the wild card runs, so I got to be a part of playoff baseball. But I knew I still had like a love for television and I wanted something kind of full-time and just kind of piecing it all together. So I came to Moon Township and I became the director of our television stations here. That was 6.5, almost 7 years ago now. So just kind of enjoying and taking it day by day here and just growing as we go.
Do you like your job?
I do. I tell people all the time, it's exciting every day. It's not come in and, fill out paperwork and do the same thing repetitively. It's something different every day, which makes it exciting.
So, Moon Community Access has been on the air pretty long, to over 30 years, I believe.
Yes, we'll be at 37 years in January.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us about the job. What is it that you actually do and what do you provide to the residents of Moon?
Yeah, so we are a public access station. We do have 2 stations here. So we have Moon Community Access, which covers our programming from cooking shows to anything that we do sports-wise. We cover Robert Morris sporting events, Moon High School sporting events, workout shows, and everything in between. And then we have Moon Area Government Television, which covers our municipal meetings for Moon Township, Crescent Township, Coraopolis, and the surrounding areas, school board meetings, and different programming like that as well. So here at the station, we are a community access station. So we are funded by franchise fees. We are all community ran. So we actually only have 3 full-time employees. The rest is all volunteer. And we run all of our filming through that here in and out of the station. We do have a full HD production trailer, a full HD studio, and like I said, we cover all sorts of different shows, and we do everything from the creation of the show to the filming of the show to scheduling and airing the show and editing it, getting them out on our stations.
What you just described makes me think you should be a staff of about 100.
If only, it would be great.
So the staff that works with you, you're always, I'm assuming you all work all the time.
Yeah, so we are all full-time here.
All the time.
Yes, we're all full-time here. And then we cover, like I said, the sporting events. So this weekend we do have Moon and Robert Morris. So it's always exciting to kind of do that. We are fortunate having the college so close. We do get a lot of college volunteers of students who are learning to become into the media field and the television field. So that does help us a lot.
This is a 2-part question, but what was the equipment or the studio like when you got there almost 7 years ago, and what has changed since you've been there?
Yeah, so when I got here, we had all HD equipment, which was awesome. We were doing everything off of a small switcher, just 3 cameras, nothing too fancy through there. We had 2 setups. We have curtains, you could change it and kind of change it around a little bit that way. Since that, we actually have partnered with Robert Morris. So we do have a virtual set that we can do with a plethora of different backgrounds. We do still have our regular set in case somebody does want to use that as well. That we have all sorts of different couches and things we can put on there for them. And as for our control room, it started off very small. We actually just redid it right before COVID hit. So we're still slowly unveiling it, I guess, as people start to come back into the studio. But now we've got, 2 switchers, a beautiful soundboard, all sorts of different graphics. We've got screens up everywhere. It's just completely different. It's been really neat to see it change along the way, and all of the equipment just as we continue to upgrade it.
I'm imagining one of my favorite days in my studio is when new equipment or a lot of new equipment arrives and we get to unbox it. It's like the smell of a new car.
Oh yeah.
And I'm imagining that if your control room hasn't been used a lot, your brand new control room hasn't been used a lot in the last year and a half, that it is almost like it still smells like a new car.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We love to go in there. We have a nice big couch back behind it now where you can sit while somebody's directing, and it's still clean for the most part, which is nice. So
a couch in the control room. That is fantastic.
Yeah, it's been really nice.
I don't have a pen, but I need to remember couch in the control room. What has been the community's response? What is the Moon area community's response been to your upgrades and what you offer and the types of things that you're doing?
Yeah, the community loves it here. Like I said, we have all sorts of different high school students who are involved and help us filming Moon football games, and we work closely with the high school on that, to our college level where we have all sorts of different volunteers there. Our board of supervisors is very supportive, and we are fortunate to have them, as well as our just different community members doing things, anything. We actually have somebody coming in right now to grab a camera for a car show. So we get all sorts of different things day in and day out, which is exciting. And it seems, we always know, like when we go to the 4th of July for the township, it's a big event here. People are very interested in coming to check out the production trailer and to talk to us and to just get involved here at the station.
What's the best part of the job?
I think coming from a sports background, for me, it would be sports coverage. It's fun, it's fast. We're doing sideline cameras, we're doing shoulder cams, we're doing report, we're doing press box, we're doing live graphics. And this year we actually have been fortunate. We are still working with Robert Morris, so we are doing all of the filming for them, but we are doing it for ESPN because they're now filming through ESPN. Yep. So it makes it a really fun, fast-paced environment.
Many years ago, I used to do this same kind of job that you do now, covering high school and Division III college sports. And what I think I liked best about that time was the high school kids getting excited about seeing themselves on TV. And not only seeing, when I was growing up watching Access TV, it was a single camera that wasn't balanced and it barely followed the ball down the field. But we were doing anywhere between 5 and 9 cameras. 3 or 4 of them were on replay, 2 or 3 streams of graphics. The kids were excited because they thought the games looked as professional as something on ESPN. It wasn't HD yet because it was like 06, I think, 06, 07. We weren't HD yet, but they loved seeing themselves. And I actually followed one kid to the NFL. He played for 100 teams in a very short period of time, and he didn't have a long career. But in my own mind, because it's always about me, I just think that maybe our highlights helped him get into college or get into the NFL. Do you also do, so not just sports, but do you do things around the school district? So like school concerts or school plays or things like that as well?
So we do partner with Moon schools on that aspect, and they do have a media department that will film plays or things like that. So we do air them here on the station, and we will help them with things like their mock crash or anything like that they would need help for assistance with. but they are, Mr. Kaminsky there is really great, and he has done a great job with his students. They actually had a TV show until last year that they would shoot in the school, and it was just everything going on for the upcoming time to air on the station, so that parents knew what was going on and kids knew, and they were a part of it. So it made them really feel like it was something for them as well, and a learning experience for them.
So based on everything you're saying, you're going to be working there for the next 35 years. Everything's awesome, and you have the best job in the whole world.
I do have a really great job. I always say, like, I will work here until I decide that I'm just not working anymore. So when that day comes.
All right. So I have a couple of questions for you that are completely random and have nothing to do with your job.
All right.
I know you're not from Pittsburgh, but when you have sandwiches in Pittsburgh, do you put fries or no fries on them?
I do like fries on my sandwich.
And you just made 300,000 friends. Because,
there we go.
As I have learned in these interviews, not everybody likes fries on their sandwich. I'm not from Pittsburgh, but I do. My wife is from Pittsburgh, but she doesn't like fries on her sandwich either.
I love them on my sandwich, on my salad, anything with extra French fries. I mean, I'm in for.
That's amazing. You're my new best friend. What is your last binge watch?
Oh, well, I have a little one at home, so we actually watched Bluey, which has been very exciting for us. But as for actual shows, I've been watching Ted Lasso, and I really like that on Apple TV. So,
I will tell you that the movie Wall-E. Have you seen that yet?
I have.
It does lose its excitement around the 1 billionth viewing.
I'm sure.
Just be ready for that. What is the best COVID mask you have either worn or have seen on someone else?
Oh, we actually had somebody come in not that long ago with like a Darth Vader mask on because we're next to the tax office. They did not mean to come into here, but it was entertaining for everyone.
Oh, I like that. I was telling John Patterson in the last segment that I have a Hannibal Lecter mask.
Nice.
So, again, my wife does not like that I wear that in public, but I still, the staff here.
Everybody else, I was going to say, everyone else enjoys it.
In Pittsburgh, which is your favorite, the Mon or the Duquesne Incline?
Oh, I'm going to have to go with, now I'm not being from Pittsburgh, I'm going to say the Duquesne because I think it's actually the closer one. I actually belong to St. Mary of the Mount up on Mount Washington. So we would take it to go down when we go down to Station Square and different things.
That's great. I like the Duquesne because it has a parking lot, and that's
true.
I'm not a walker, so it's just easier to get to.
Nice and easy. Yep.
Yeah. All right, Allison, before I let you go, where is Moon Community Access located? Your phone number, your website? How can people get more information if they want about what you do there?
Yeah, so we are located in Moon Township. We are underneath the library in the public building. So we are at 1700 Beaver Grade Road. They can get any type of information from our website, which is MCA-TV.org. Anything about our production classes. We actually have just changed them from quarterly to you can schedule a class anytime, and we will do one-on-one training with you. So we are more than happy to have anyone who's interested. Give us a call, come in. They can email us. All of our information is on the site, or give us a call here at the station at 412-269-1191.
All right, Allison, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed it.